Morphin Legacy presents The Grid.
Howdy, Ranger Nation. This is Shadow822, Vice President of MorphinLegacy.com. Welcome you to another grid ranking, where we'll be ranking our top 5 best and worst Pink Rangers. Joining me in this grid ranking is Austin.
Hi.
Amber.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
We also have a special guest joining us for this ranking, former grid host Shelby.
God, y'all really managed to pull me back into this, didn't y'all?
Just kidding, hi!
So how this will work is we each take a turn and reveal our picks in descending order and repeat until all of our picks are revealed. We'll talk about our top 5 best picks first, and then we'll move on to our top 5 worst. So let's start with my 5th best Pink Ranger, which is Psycho Pink. So I decided that we would extend our list to Evil Rangers, Comic Rangers, and Movie Rangers. So I decided Psycho Pink, because she's a badass bitch. So a lot of Psycho Pink's coolness factor comes from a certain episode next season. But let's talk about some cool things she did during In Space. The episode she dies with the Rangers is an iconic episode. Love me some girl power from both sides, even if the Psycho Girls did like a little backstabby a few times. There was no teamwork had there. Let's talk about Power of Pink. So Psycho Pink is able to survive the fight against the Space and Galaxy Rangers and get some intel on a severed sword, which essentially kills Kendrick. So yeah, she's pretty much on this list because she killed a Ranger and she's an Evil Ranger. And I love me some Evil Rangers.
She's kind of the epitome of, I'm a bad bitch, you can't kill me!
Alright, Amber, you said that was your number 5 too. Do you have anything to say about Psycho Pink?
That's like my top part about her. That's my positive potato about her. Because I like a villain, especially if she's pink villain.
Okay, so little negative nuggets. All the shit Paul Allard did to her in Psychopath. I am still jaded, by the way. Fuck Psychopath. Fuck North Korea. Fuck her popcorn. Fuck her Western. Fuck everything about Psychopath. Fuck it!
It was so fucking terrible.
It is awful. So that's my number 5. Austin, what is your number 5?
My number 5, I put Cat, specifically Zeo Cat.
Zero into 1, pink!
I just can't believe she's the Pink Ranger. I love her. And you know, like in Mighty Morphin, she was introduced as an evil character. She gets redeemed by taking over the Pink Ranger powers. She's a dancer. She dances, so we see her dance a lot. Every Focus episode of hers is dancing, except the one with that dog, Smokey or whatever.
Smokey! Well, she was originally a swimmer that became a dancer because I guess they didn't really want to do stuff in the pool because that's a filming location.
I guess.
Also, she's named Cat. She turned into a cat, and she's a swimmer.
They're so clever.
Dancing's a lot like Kimberly, that it's like kind of an easy way to wean everybody into like not having Kimberly around anymore. Well, she's a dancer too.
Did they ever say she was a swimmer in the show, or that was just something they were going to do?
No, they did it in a different shade of pink. They actually showed her like a flashback or something, and she's like, I hate the water. And then we get like a whole flashback about her becoming a diver and getting injured, and then she proves herself to Kim because Kim wants to give up gymnastics because she fell on her head or something. And then we get this whole scene where she's like, I'm gonna dive so I could show you that I can do it, so you can do it, so you can get the fuck out of here because I'm the Pink Ranger now.
She was a diver and injured herself, so like, was the turbo thing a callback where she can't morph in the water?
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I mean, they probably didn't either.
I just thought the Zeo crystals just dissolved in water.
Negative nugget for Kat, I put that a lot of her development just revolves around Tommy, and that's gross.
I think that's disgusting.
Shelby, what is your number 5?
So, my number 5 is Vita from Mystic Force.
Magical sword! Mystic force!
who I know everyone still wants to forget Mystic Force, but I refuse. So let's talk about how we had a Pink Ranger who hates the color pink, for one. I'm just like, that's unique, that's different, love that. She was like a definite hothead, but she was always there for her sister and Chip, so like, I'm about that shit. And she's like a hot DJ with short hair. How could you hate it?
I could actually, because she's on my bottom list. I'm sorry. And for some of the reasons you liked her were some of the reasons I disliked her. For me, a lot of her stuff always felt like I'm not pink. It kind of felt like a pick-me kind of girl, where she was like, well, I'm not that kind of girl. And I'm just like, and? Anything else? But I thought she was cute. I think she looked really cute.
I guess because I kind of went through like the same thing growing up. I was just like, man, fuck pink. I'm gonna cut my hair short, whatever. I'm not like that. And then I'm just like, my entire life is pink. I dyed my hair pink. I feel the vibe.
We're all about the vibes here. You have anything negative?
She's just hot-headed a lot. Like, she just went in when she probably could have just like, take a step back.
Okay, so on to number 4. My number 4 is Caron.
I love being a Power Ranger.
The second Pink Galaxy Ranger. So, a lot of Caron's coolness factor is that the fact that she was the literal Queen of Evil last season. And this season, she's just seeking redemption and atonement. And she does so by getting the Pink Quasar Saber from the Onyx auction. She didn't even expect anything. She just wanted to be good and do a good thing. And make up for all the bad stuff she did when she was the Queen of Evil. And she's ultimately rewarded for it by becoming the Pink Galaxy Ranger. And that's amazing. First villain to become a Ranger. Then her next episode is also pretty rad. She uses her knowledge of knowing powerful artifacts to help Leo gain enough power to get a battleizer, and she literally has to fight herself.
Once evil, always evil. You're wrong.
So my negative nugget. One problem I have with Caron is after her 2 intro episodes, she kind of essentially fades into the background, which I guess makes sense, and there's like around 12 episodes after this. So you really don't have that time to be building up that character that much. Also, Psychopath. Fuck that again. Fuck it. You don't redeem the Psycho Rangers, Caron. What the fuck? Alright, Austin, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Miss Shelby Watkins from Dino Charge.
Oh my god, same.
I said this in our Dino Charge retrospective, but I think Shelby has a lot of growth because she goes from a brat and then she turns into a really strong and caring person by the end. Created Zords from scratch, or a Zord. And I really liked that her romance with Tyler wasn't the driving force of her development.
Because Power Rangers has a little problem with making female characters their whole arc being just their love interest.
Zoe!
Let's call it for what it is. That's called ham-fistedness. Those big sausage fingers pounding the keyboard be like, girl like boy, only character trait.
The way Dino Fury is looking, I doubt that we're gonna get the Green Ranger getting into any of the guys, because she is a big lesbian.
She's wearing overalls. And she's athletic. Negative nugget for Shelby, I put that her best friend Erin's a bitch.
Bad taste in friends. I could see that.
Oh, she is terrible.
I'm glad she found some good friends.
Shelby, since Shelby is your number 4 too, do you have anything else to say about Shelby?
Well, myself as a fellow Shelby was really excited. I think I was working at GameStop at the time, and we got the toys in. I had just distanced myself from all of this for a while, so I pick up the toys. I'm like, oh, Pink Ranger, what's her? Oh my god, it's me! And I remember I had messaged Adam as quickly as I could. I'm like, well, you couldn't tell me about this? He's like, I wanted to be a surprise. I'm like, it's me! It's the best. Like I said, I only got like halfway through Dino Charge, so pretty much all I got to see her do was whine and be like, I want to do this, and I'm gonna sneak into stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, that's kind of crappy.
It's such a treat. If you go back and watch it, you'll love it. It's such a treat.
I mean, it's not on Netflix anymore, so you can't, but maybe someday.
It's kind of our patron season for this podcast, is Dino Charge.
Yeah, we are the Dino Charge Stands podcast. We just filmed a 2.5 hour podcast talking about Dino Charge, so that should tell you how much we like Dino Charge.
I mean, we only like it a little bit. Just a little bit.
Amber, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is our girl Cassie Chan.
Let's rock it!
I really love her style. I like that she's super sweet and she's like spunky and she loves her friends and she's not afraid to call Ashley out when she's being a dumb bitch. And I love that. She's like, the first Asian Pink Ranger, which is really cool. And her and TJ are the absolute fucking cutest. OTP is central. My negative about her is her liking the Phantom Ranger. Like, why? TJ standing right there. Like, what are you doing? Are you a suit fucker? Like,
aren't you too? You like balance. You like steel.
That's different. Those look like robots. Those are just Ranger suits, okay? There's a difference, okay?
Suits and robot suits are totally different.
Because those are robots. They're not like people in a suit.
Okay, so on to my number 3. My number 3 is Shelby Watkins. I mean, what can I say about Shelby that has already been said? She's great. She's got a great personality. She's got great development. She's funny. She was a breath of fresh air after 2 seasons in a row where we kind of had below average Pink Rangers. I just love her sass. I love how she's pretty much shades everyone on the team that deserves to be knocked down a peg, especially Chase. Like, she was like always coming for Chase, but he came for her too, so it was well deserved, I guess.
She also came for Kendall too. And then Kendall would be like, sit down, sister.
I love her little romance arc with Tyler. Shyler is the one heterosexual ship we died for, honestly. And like Austin said earlier, I love that her development came from she's just a scatterbrained waitress to being able to literally create a Zord. And my negative nugget, like we've said in the past, Erin's a bitch, and why did Shelby choose her to be her best friend? Especially since she never mentioned her before or after.
I mean, they'd been friends since 3rd grade. I mean, what was your taste like in 3rd grade?
If they were best friends since 3rd grade and they like went through to high school together, that's someone I would drop off in high school. Like,
you gotta look at it, maybe that was her only friend. Maybe because she was that weird dinosaur girl. Like, everybody was like, no.
And you're kind of forced to be around people in school, so you're kind of forced to be friends with people in your proximity. Then after high school, that's when you get to spread your feelers around.
That's why they hadn't seen each other in a while. But she was like, well, she was my best friend through all those years, so maybe she's still my best friend now. And then she's like, wait, she's a shitty person because I actually have good friends now.
That should have been the lesson of the day. Like, I don't need you anymore. I got these hot dino guys to be my friends.
We gotta redeem her.
Fuck that. That's the worst episode of Dino Charge. Alright, Austin, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Kendrix from Lost Galaxy.
Go! Galactic!
The better Lost Galaxy Pink Ranger. She's mostly on this list because she sacrificed herself to save Cassie, but also I love Kendrix regardless. She's smart, she's resourceful, she's lesbian. Orion Rising is one of my favorite episodes where they fight over the birthday cake.
She's definitely a ranger that I didn't care for back in the day as much, but now as an adult, I can appreciate her much more. Because, like, I remember watching it, I was kind of meh about her. I was like, yeah, great. And I was really excited about Corona, and then I think about it watching episodes now, and I'm like, actually, she's really good.
Do we think that Maya eating the birthday cake was like a metaphor for like eating out Kendrix?
A lot of gay episodes revolve around cake. Tooth hurts.
Cake samples.
Negative nugget. I kind of just wish she was given a little bit more to do. I mean, she had the episode with Maya and then that episode with her actress doppelganger. That's kind of all I can remember. Also, why are they filming movies with a famous actress on a traveling space colony?
To be fair, that episode is literally a lift from Exact Sentai episode, and they were not in space. They were on planet Earth. And the pink was a doppelganger for an actress. So, I mean, they did the best they could.
It just so happens that Kendrix's doppelganger is on Terra Venture, which is probably population like 1,000 or something.
That must be fucked up too after Kendrix dies and then they just like walk around to see.
And what if they just randomly see her and they're like, oh, it's Kendrix. Oh!
Also, they're filming movies on Terra Venture because Terra Venture needs some entertainment too. Netflix wasn't invented yet, so they can't have that Wi-Fi streaming. They need some entertainment.
Mary, they got satellites.
All the way from Earth? How long is the bandwidth for that?
Girl, this is Power Rangers where people can breathe in space.
And you can't find it believable that Terra Venture has a movie industry? They can breathe in space, but when making movies, that's too much.
That is too much.
Terra Venture is quite large. There may be more than just quote-unquote 1,000 people on it.
Well, I'm just estimating.
They serve that like civilian aspect which is needed on the ship. So I mean, you could theoretically say that there is like maybe a reasonably thriving movie industry on Terra Venture and for their own stuff.
See, See, Amber took my side.
You can't have Xenon the Girl of the 21st Century and just have the rock band come to Terra Venture. That doesn't make any sense. Terra Venture has their own rock bands.
Amber, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Corone. We already kind of talked about her, but, my love was also that redemption, because I love a good villain redemption story, especially if it feels like it's got heart. And I do feel that Corone came from such a genuine place. Like, she wanted to be better. She wanted to come back from being Astronema and prove herself. And she's like, I'm not that person anymore. And I love that about her.
A lot of Power Ranger villains do the villain redemption thing because, you look like a human, you're getting redeemed. But Corone is one of the few, or that I believe, deserved the redemption.
She did. It wasn't really her choice to be evil. She was kidnapped. Because this is kind of the same thing that, I'm going to use Shira as an example. She was kidnapped when she was a child and raised with evil people. So, that's a nature versus nurture kind of thing. And then when they realize, this shit we're doing is hate crimes, maybe we should not do that anymore. I'm going to agree with my negative thing is the entirety of the psychopath. That is the worst thing about Corone. Everything else I love. I love the leather. I love the pigtails. I do not love the psychopath.
Shelby, what is your number 3?
So my number 3 is Sid from SPD.
SPD, emergency! SPD, pink!
We all know I love Dearly to the point where I cosplayed her, but I always thought she was really cool. This is an actual famous person. She's on magazines, she's been a model, but she's also out here kicking some ass and defending the city and defending her people. Then she has this really bitchin' genetic power that she could materialize anything. Of course, most of the time it's iron. I guess my negative for her is she spent so much time baby Paris Hilton to the point where it got really annoying. And she's all it's my birthday, why can't I have my day off? And it's because you have a job to do. And it's Jack's I don't even have a birthday, so chill out, lady.
Well, it's Mama, did you even put in the PTO? It's that's on you if you didn't.
You're a Ranger too, so Rangers don't get day offs.
I'll probably do a Yellow Ranger ranking, and I'll probably put Z in my bottom because of this. Because I just felt it just always felt like that they were at odds. But I'm why can't you guys get along?
They never did really feel like friends to me. They kind of felt like frenemies.
And I don't even think they felt like frenemies. I guess, not everybody can be friends, and that's a lesson to learn.
I do like that. Not everyone needs to be chummy with each other in the season.
But sometimes Z was just a straight up bitch to her, and I was just whoa, hey. Sid is kind of bubblehead, but come on, she's not mean. She doesn't deserve the meanness. I think Sid is a very sweet, very cute girl.
It's like oil and vinegar, essentially. You mix them, and it's they're total opposites. Sid is the rich valley girl, and Z is she's from the streets, and she's ready to fight and punch a bitch. So on to my number 2, which is Jen Scott's.
Time for!
The Pink Time Force Ranger. Alright, so what can I say about Jen that hasn't already been said? She's a lot of many things in the franchise. She's the first Pink Ranger to lead a team, and she's kind of the first quote-unquote badass, because up until now, most Pink Rangers are she's the heart of the team, or she's the soft-spoken one, or she's the love interest to the Red Ranger. I mean, she is the love interest to the Red Ranger, but we'll talk about it in a minute.
But that wasn't her only story. She had a lot of things going for her. That wasn't her only character trait. Was I'm the girlfriend.
A lot of Pink Rangers are just, their love interest arc is their whole story, but not Jen. She's the leader, and she doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. She's a leader that'd be okay, you feel bad, too bad. You gotta fight. Go out there and shoot some Psychobots, bitch.
Oh, you're not feeling good? We'll go not feel good outside fighting the Psychobots, you dumb bitch.
We got a job to do, and that's to essentially capture Ransik. That's her in the beginning of the season. Essentially, as time goes on, she kind of softens up thanks to Wes. And she opens her heart after it's been closed because Alex died, and I guess she didn't want to open it up to anyone else. But then you remember, Alex is a fucking asshole!
Ugh, I hate him.
I hate only James Navarro more than I hate Alex.
Sins of the Future tried to wrap it around and say, Alex was that way because of time travel. I'm no, I don't give a fuck if he came back to life like Jesus or time travel or anything. He's an asshole.
Sorry, yeah, I'm not excusing bad behavior like that. Fuck that.
Alright, I popped off a bit, but here's my negative nugget. She never kissed Wes. and there were multiple chances she could have kissed Wes. Especially the fucking graphic novel Sins of the Future, which was promoted as being this novel about their romance. And the two didn't even kiss in it. Like, that was promoted to be one thing, and it wasn't. Because it's not about Wes and Jen's romance. It's more about Alex's sister that was never mentioned becoming like a Black Time Force Ranger and trying to fuck up time or something. I'm like, okay.
Liza Minnelli. Lies.
As much as we hated Psychopath, I had a feeling Sins of the Future would be in the same vein. We just
Sins wasn't bad. It was just kind of, whatever.
And we reviewed it. So, Austin, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Miss Cassie Chan from In Space. What we said about her earlier, like, she's a bad bitch. She doesn't take shit from anybody, especially Rift and the Rangers, which I'll never be tired of talking about that episode.
It's the most iconic episode of that season.
But everyone tries to take advantage of her, and she won't stand for it, and, like, good for her. I feel like my favorite thing about Cassie, though, is that she doesn't really feel like a quote-unquote typical Pink Ranger. Like, she's more, like, alternative and edgy compared to the Pink Rangers before her.
White blonde chicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
AJ wasn't like blonde, but like I get what you're saying.
And to add to the alt edgy vibe, she was in a rock band in Turbo, so.
I'm sad they kind of stopped doing stuff with that, though.
I mean, they stopped doing stuff with everybody after Turbo, to be honest. In Space is more of a let's tell a story instead of let's tell stories about characters, which I'm fine with. In Space is still my favorite season ever, so.
Negative nugget, I was disappointed that Cassie and TJ didn't go anywhere. Although I did like that we didn't have a Pink Ranger that was fueled by a romance.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
And my other negative nugget was I would have liked to see her as Galaxy Pink, because there's a script for an episode that was going to feature her and have her become pink. But
I respect Patricia for like protecting herself and looking out for herself. Not like Saban was going to do it.
It was better in a sense because it made Corone such a better character and it gave her the redemption she needed.
I think story-wise, it was way stronger.
She already has 2 suits. That's good. That's more than most. Full grid masterpiece be theatered eventually, so.
in like 20 years.
Amber, what is your number 2 Pink?
Jen, you know, like we talked about a lot, you know, and I just like that, like she has like a lot of fire and passion. Like she chases people to literally the end of time and all over time. You know, she was willing just to chase Rancic anywhere to like capture him. And I think my least favorite thing about her is her taste in men, because Alex is a literal piece of shit. Honey, do so much better.
Do you think that she only got engaged to him because like she was trapped in a relationship with him because they're coworkers?
It's that proximity. They're always around each other.
Because like been there, sis.
Even in the show, he was kind of a fucking asshole. Did you just like dickheads? Honey, love yourself.
Or just like people that look like Wes and Alex.
I guess you like bland white boys. Not every girl is perfect.
Is that weird that she's like going back into the past and like fucking his like ancestor?
And if Wes and Jen are together, that means that Jen is essentially...
She fucked his grandpa. This is why I don't really enjoy identical descendants. I don't.
Unless it's Zach from Dino Charge.
That's the only time.
That's the exception because it's Davi Santos.
Zach is a beautiful, sweet angel, and so is Ivan, but both Wes and Alex are kind of not. Also, they're douchey white boys, and Davi is not either of those things.
Shelby, what is your number 2 pick?
So my number 2 pick is Kendrick's. She's super smart, aka, you know, glasses on a girl. Yo, first time there.
Honestly, they don't really make the Pink Ranger the smart one a lot.
They really don't. So when they do, it's kind of special. She was the first one to sacrifice herself and, you know, do the death. That was impactful. I think it was like the first time I ever cried watching Power Rangers was when she died. Like, that was a bad time. It was just like, that's just enough for me right there. It's like, yeah, she wears glasses and she died. That's big because I wear glasses and one day I'll die. So like, samesies. Just kidding. I'm immortal.
Okay, so before we list our number 1 Pink Rangers, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Okay, so for me, Kendricks and Dana, because Kendricks, it's that era. I love Kendricks because she's the smart one. We talked about this. And Dana, I guess, because I liked the journey of her going from being the boss's daughter to proving herself as an actual, like, Pink Ranger. Also, I love In the Limelight. That's honestly one of my favorite episodes. That episode is so gay, so of course I love it.
Well, it cemented her as a gay icon.
All right, Austin, what are your honorable mentions?
I also had Dana as one of mine because of In the Limelight, and then Corone for my other honorable mention.
Amber, do you have any honorable mentions?
I also had Dana. Yeah, surprise, surprise. But I also had Cat because I like Cat. Yeah, I think she's cute. And then any male Pink Rangers and maybe Ranger Slayer, but I don't know if she counts.
Oh, right. Yeah. Ranger Slayer. Yeah. I put her on my honorable mentions too. She's fantastic. I love her.
I like a little bit of edge, and I like that she like kills Tommy, and that's my favorite thing in life. So
Shelby, do you have any honorable mentions?
Ranger Slayer for sure, again for the killing Tommy, because that's totally my aesthetic. And Jen. Like, I like Jen. She's not like one of my top, but I like her. She's pretty badass.
So on to number one choices. Who could mine be? Who could mine be? Who could mine be? Okay, so my number one is Cassie Chan, the Pink Turbo and Pink Space Ranger. Out of the box for me, choosing something from In Space is number one.
Here comes Cassie Chan with a steel chair.
Alright, so yeah, there's a little bias and nostalgia here, but I just love Cassie. She's sassy like Shelby and will bust her teammates' balls if she thinks they deserve it. Like when she's making fun of Ashley in the premiere, when she was like pointing at Anderson like,
You're human. I didn't know. You could have been a giant lizard.
this is like the 10th time we've mentioned it, A Rift in the Rangers, where she has cleaning duties for the week and Ashley's being a fucking pig. And she's complaining to her teammates about having to do Ashley's job. Valid, honestly. Like, her job this week was to clean. She shouldn't have to do Ashley's job because that's Ashley's job. Come on now.
She's a pig.
Miss Thing here doesn't like her duty. She's also compassionate, like in Wasp with a Heart, where she tried to get through to Waspicable after he was like leaning towards the good side. I also like that she had the music stuff. Like, Song Confusion is such a good episode. I love that song. And Negative Nugget. Like Amber, I wasn't a fan of the Phantom Ranger stuff with her. Kind of a little biased because I ship her and TJ. Like, Phantom Ranger is kind of like a bland character. It's kind of a slate character, so I don't really see her liking Phantom Ranger solely because there's nothing about him besides his suit. Unless she really wants to fuck that suit.
I feel like the whole Phantom Ranger thing was just kind of a waste of time because they didn't do anything with it. What was the point?
Especially since he leaves and he's only in one episode in space and we never see him again. Well, I mean, we see him in Countdown, but they never interact again. Okay, so Austin, I wonder who your number one is. So what is your number one pick?
It is Mia from Samurai. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. You would do that, though, just to troll me.
It's Jed from Divorce.
I should hope so. I'm surprised you wouldn't get a Jen tattoo.
I just love that her entire story is basically driven by capturing Rancic and bringing him to justice. And then she delivers, like, the most iconic line from all of Time Force.
My mission is to bring you back. And I promise you, I'm going to do it!
And you know what? We love to see that.
Queen shit right there. It's queen shit.
Award-winning shit right there.
That's an Emmy right there. It's like your fave could never.
She was robbed. Not even getting fucking nominated. That's bullshit. I'm gonna go back in time and slap all those bitches in the face.
Capturing Rancic is her driving factor, but she also just has a lot of character development with Wes, because she starts out as a hardcore badass who's just looking for revenge for the death of her terrible fiance, but then she starts to soften up over the course of the season and becomes a much more well-rounded character by the end. And that's what we call growth, mama. Negative Nugget, I also put no kiss with Wes. I mean, that can't even happen in the graphic novel, so at this point I'm convinced that if they ever did kiss, our entire reality would just collapse into itself.
Amber, what is your number one choice for Pink Rangers?
I chose Shelby. I think because also my love for Dino Charge kind of a little bit colors it. I really just liked her spunk. And I liked that she was willing to stand up for things. Like, there were times where obviously, like, she grew as a character. Kendall would kind of, like, step to her, you know, be like, hey, calm down. And then she, like, earned Kendall's respect. And I really loved that whole arc for her. I just think, you know, we talked a lot about her. We've gushed about her. Like, she's just great. Like, the stuff with her dad, I love that stuff. So she's like, I don't want to be this, Dad. I want to be this. So that's a really common thing, and I really love to see that. And the only thing I dislike about her was mainly that episode where she's dressed as the princess. I really hated how she was in that episode. Like, all of the Tyler stuff was so great, except for that one thing. She's like, I don't want to be this, and then she's like, oh, you are? Okay. But, like, I mean, that's not even really, like, that bad. That's just, like, my least favorite thing about her.
I would say an episode where she's bitchy, the Ivan one, where she's, like, all, like, fawning over Ivan and, like, is kind of, like, a bitch to Tyler.
Those are the kind of couple moments that I don't really care for, but those are are pretty minor just in my general feeling about the character. It's just like if I had to pick something I didn't like. But I think she's adorable. I love her. I love her energy. I think Camille did a really great job acting as her.
Shame she didn't come back for the Dino Team Up trilogy.
She technically did, ADR.
I mean, technically, voice.
At least they did the voice, so technically everyone did still come back.
I just think she's really sweet. I really like her. I like Dino Charge. That's why she's my number one.
Okay, so Shelby, what is your number one pick?
I am prepared for this. I'm gonna shake it up a little bit. I'm gonna bring someone in that I know is probably on someone's bottom 5, but Rose from Operation Overdrive.
He was almost on my bottom, but it's not because I hate her at all. It's just because the season she's on.
She's actually not on my bottom list.
Me neither, actually. Yeah.
I realized there was someone I hated way more and deserved to be on the list more than she did. It's only because she was on Operation Overdrive, and I just hate that season so much. So
Everyone hates that season. It's not a good season. We all can acknowledge that. She was the best part of it. She was literally the one redeeming quality of that season.
like another nerdy Pink Ranger, I love it.
Not just a nerdy Pink Ranger, the literal smartest of everything. Like, even as she said, she's just like, I'm never wrong. And I'm just like, she really isn't. There's not really a situation here where she's, like, wrong to the point where she's wrong. The fact that she created the Battleizer, and it only went to Mac because he wasn't human, and he could wield it, and no one else could. I'm sure if she had more time to work on it, she could have worn that shit, and she could rock that shit.
I would have liked the Pink Ranger Battleizer. Shit.
We could have had it.
Make her the leader.
I liked Mac for the character that they put him as. I'm just like, okay, that's interesting twist. I kind of see what they're going for there. But Rose, though, she could have been great. I guess my one, negative for that whole... It's not necessarily just for her, but it's, for the series as a total. Their, powers never made much sense to me. She's like, oh, she can go invisible. I'm just like, who cares? It ties into her character a little bit.
Yeah, they just did genetic powers because every season up until then gave them genetic powers. Because Ninja Storm had the ninja powers where they're like, oh, earth, air, and water. And then Dino Thunder had the genetic powers for the Dino Gems. And SPD, they were born with genetic powers. And Mystic Force had magic.
But, all those, in some way, shape, or form made sense. But just okay, so here's, a professor, and she gets power of invisibility. And then, the race car driver gets this. And they're all coming from, different spots where, it was never centrally given a reason of, oh, these people have powers. Does everyone have powers? It's not just Rose-centric, that one. I'm just, mad about it.
I just think Disney had a problem with the punchy at that time. So they wanted to give them genetic powers, so they did stuff other than punchy. That's why we had explosions every 5 seconds.
Didn't Ronnie was, just strong? That was her power? Or was she actually fast?
Speed, I think. Will has, super sight. I think Dax has... jumping?
Yeah, because he was a stuntman.
That's probably the most inoffensive number one somebody could have. I mean, because literally the worst thing about her is just that the season she's on.
If she was on another season, I feel like she might be higher up there, but I mean, she has the displeasure of being in Overdrive.
I had a connection to it earlier where I was kind of thinking on my list and I was remembering Rose and I was going back through my picks and watching some stuff on YouTube. And I'm just this is alternate dimension Dr. K. If Dr. K didn't grow up so shittily,
she could have been like Rose.
Honestly, I could see that. Yeah, that's a good theory there.
That's a good take. I like that.
Y'all know me and my RPM. Don't even get me on it.
I mean, good thing that RPM doesn't have a Pink Ranger.
Oh, exactly. I'd still be chatting.
Those are our top 5 best picks. Now we'll take a quick commercial break and be back for our top 5 worst Pink Rangers. Spicy time.
Hey everybody, I'm Erin Cahill, aka Jen from Time Force, and you're listening to The Grid. I hope this finds you happy and well, and thanks for giving me this chance to say hi. Sending you much love.
Okay, so we're back with our worst Pink Ranger. So my 5th worst Pink Ranger is Vita from Mystic Force. Vita really never did anything to offend me per se. I just think the personality she was given really didn't fit the footage well. The footage kind of shows her being perky, girly girl, and peace sign. Vita is nowhere near that kind of personality, so it kind of clashes between her being morphed and her being unmorphed.
It's not even the footage for me. It's like she has no development. Like, she could have been a really cool character, but she gets like no focus.
To be fair, you can say that about every Ranger in Mystic Force but Nick. Another weird choice was the writers decided to translate an episode towards the end where the Pink Ranger befriends one of the 10 Terrors and convinces him to turn over Leaf, which worked in Magic Ranger because Magic Pink was like that, but for some reason they did that for Vita. I don't really feel like it would fit her personality-wise. Maybe if they did that with Madison it would work, but not Vita. Positive potato for me. I liked that her little hair dye, she had like a little piece of her hair dyed, and like each episode it would change depending on the focus episode. That was kind of cool. I liked that.
I never noticed that.
For my positive potato, I put when she's a vampire because I like vampires.
Twilight whore! Sorry, I got a little schmutz in my throat.
Alright, so Austin, you said Vita was yours too, right?
Yes.
Amber, what is your number 5 pick for worst?
Mia.
Samurizer! Go, go, Samurai!
I do not care for Mia that much. This is like the bottom of my list. She's bland, and it's like not being good at like home ec kind of stuff is apparently her personality trait. I really hated that. Otherwise, like she seems really nice. I just kind of really hate that she didn't get anything other than just, I'm not good at cooking.
LOL, isn't that funny?
I totally buck a gender stereotype because I'm terrible at cooking. I just really hate that kind of shit. I would have totally been okay. It's like, yeah, I want to do this good, but then also, but like I recognize I'm good at other stuff, and it's just like...
Like, if that was like a character arc she went through, is like she can cook, she knew she can't cook, and throughout the series she'd get better. And then at the end of it, she's like a gourmet cook or something. That would have been great, but no, it's like, isn't it funny that Mia can't cook?
And it would have been really funny, like, her trying out things and be like, oh, I didn't do that great, but then she's like, oh, look, I did it great. And at the end of the season, she makes this big meal for everybody to send them off.
Like, instead of just like making her like a stereotype of like a terrible cook, make her like a learning cook who's like trying new things and learning the process.
Yeah, because they didn't really have anything for me to do. Like, what is her backstory? What did she do before she became a Pink Ranger? Like, she's like hanging around with kids. Like, what the fuck is that? Was she a teacher or something? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, they were copying what Mako was in Shinkenger, and Mako was a kindergarten teacher.
Mia wasn't a kindergarten teacher, so it made no sense for them to just do copy-paste there. Maybe she was in kindergarten, but she wasn't a kindergarten teacher.
Like, what, are you working at a daycare center, I guess? Maybe?
She never mentions in it. That was Samurai's problem. It would copy-paste a lot of things, but when they took something out of the scripts, they never put something back in. So it's very confusing sometimes when they're doing stuff later on where they give certain traits to characters or talk about characters in a certain way, and it's like, they're nothing like that. I mean, there's Sentai counterparts like that, but they're not like that.
My positive potatoes, she seems nice.
Wow. She's nice.
If I was in Samurai World and I saw her on the street, and if I maybe dropped something, she'd be like, here, you dropped this. And I'd be like, wow, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's the kind of person she seems like she'd be.
If she dropped her wallet, you would look at her driver's license and fall in love with her.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, the whole thing with Spike, that went nowhere.
Why did that exist?
I don't even know.
Also, Spike, you can't take me. You live in a garage. You can't take me.
You live in a garage with your kind of Uncle Bulk. That's not even your uncle.
Yeah, that's kind of fucking weird, bud.
And how old are you? Seriously, how old is Spike?
Are you 16 or are you like 21? We need to know.
I want to say Mia's like a grown-ass adult.
Getting a little squicky here, buddy. That's all I got.
I mean, we'll talk about her later, spoilers, but yeah. Alrighty, Shelby, what is your 5th pick for Worst Pink Ranger?
My 5th pick is Dana.
Lightspeed, rescue!
And I'm staring at a picture of her I have on my wall of fan art, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, girl. I'm so sorry. But to me, it was just like, she was just in the shadow too much. Like, in the shadow of her dad, in the shadow of her brother. You know, the first American-made Power Ranger, and that was, like, the big deal. And it's like, oh, yeah, and that's a sister. Cool. Like, it's great that, she's a nurse, first responder, super important right now, 2021, the unprecedented times. But, like, back then, it's just like, yeah, that's cool. My grandma's a nurse, so I guess that's relatable. She just never really stood out to me.
I feel like she's another one that you appreciate more as an adult, like later years. Because like I remember, because like that was about the time I stopped watching Power Rangers. I thought she was kind of boring, but I also thought like the whole thing was boring at the time. So I totally agree with you. Like she does fall. Watching episodes now as an adult, I can kind of see those little bitty tiny moments when she gets to shine.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why she's the top of my bottom. If she doesn't spark joy, I'm not throwing her out. She's just kind of here.
Okay, so on to my number 4. It's Mia.
My number 4 is also Mia.
Funny story. My number 4 is also Mia.
Okay.
So let's triple team this. So Mia's problem is like the problem with Samurai. She's bland. She's like this soft demeanor, little personality, like I'm a girl. Which is kind of a problem. I'm like, it's not a problem like if Emily didn't exist, because Emily's kind of essentially the same character too. If you watch Samurai with their eyes closed, it's kind of hard to distinguish the two because they both have that kind of like voice.
Yeah, Austin.
What do you want from me? I'm a simple person.
I'll give Emily that she had that backstory about her sister and stuff, so she kind of has a little
Which
groundedness
went
here and there.
nowhere.
I think it makes it hurt worse because Kotaha did it better.
You think it would go somewhere considering she's in the same boat Jaden is, like she had to take over the ranger role from her sister that couldn't at the time, but no, it's not even mentioned.
Didn't they also kill off Kotaha's sister so that way like there's no bringing that sister back? Because they could have just been like, yeah, she got sick and she died.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to die in the Neo-Saban era. There's no death there. Everything ends up happy.
No one dies other than Kendricks.
She's just sick. So back to Mia. She can't cook. That's her one character arc this season. She can't cook.
That's her only personality trait. That's so funny. LMAO!
Another problem with the writers or translators, because Samurai barely has writers. It's translator. Like they literally credit the Japanese writer in every episode.
They typed out the translation and then do that thing where you word search Mako's and change it to Mia.
Google Translate should have been credited as a writer, to be honest.
Pour one out for my boy Duolingo.
Happy 10th anniversary to Samurai, by the way.
Yeah, the day we're
Claps for
recording this.
Samurai.
The problem with Mia is that they copy-paste her character from Mako, but they take stuff that Mako had and didn't replace anything with it. So there's episodes, for example, where Mia gets Beetle Disc, and it's a big deal because Mako, I feel like, would have been the one to deserve that disc, but Mia, she doesn't really show anything about her deserving the disc.
I would argue that she did deserve that.
I think she did too. Mike was just being whiny as
Mike
shit.
is awful in that.
And she was just like, I like my friendship better. Here, you have it. And it's just like, no.
I have problems with that episode in general because Mia didn't really have any grounded reason about why she got it, but Mike didn't either, and Mike deserved it less than Mia did.
Just wait for the spice on the Green Ranger ranking.
He just complains and whines about it the whole episode until Mia's like, okay, you can have it, I guess.
I think that's just Mia being too nice.
He's not called out for it or anything. He's like, oh, here you go, you can have the disc.
He's never called out on anything. He's just a little bitch the whole season. I fucking hate him.
They take stuff out of Mako's character and doesn't put anything back for Mia. Okay.
Exactly.
So positive potato for Mia. I guess I like the episode where they kind of bring her around for Decker and Daiu's backstory. And there's footage here and there of her being around when Daiu does stuff, but what's the point of that?
I like that they gave Daiu and Decker like a backstory.
I know, but is there a reason for Mia to be there and be so concerned about it? Okay, this is what I would have done. I would have made Daiu one of the past Pink Samurai Rangers that turned evil or became a Nylok. That would have been a way for Mia to like, oh, I kind of get it.
You're an ancestor of mine.
And that's how you get a little depth there, so that's why she's so concerned about Daiu. But she's not a direct descendant, like, maybe like a great aunt or something.
I kind of just saw it as like her understanding like where Daiu's pain comes from and like wanting to help her just because like Rangers are usually good people.
That's boring, though. I would have put a little more gravitas beyond that.
That's how they translate. It's just boring. My perspective of it was, oh, she's doing it because she's such a nice person.
I'm sorry, but like these motherfuckers are trying to end the world. Yes, I'm gonna go be super nice to them.
Like, that's why it would have been smart to have her, like, be like a descendant of hers. Like, oh, that's why.
That's my great aunt.
Auntie Daiu.
She dies, and then, you know, like how the next sibling in line would take the power. So it would be like, well, Daiu didn't have any kids, so like her younger sister got the Pink Ranger power.
Yeah, that's why it's aunt, and that's not a direct descendant.
I think that would have been really interesting, and that would have been something that like they did on their own, and that's their own little spice they added to it. I think that would have been better, yeah.
When Samurai does original stuff, it's good because Daiu and Decker weren't a thing in Shinkenger, and that was something made for the show, and it ended up turning out pretty good. See what happens when you do original stuff?
I can give you the other part of that where they do original stuff, and it just, no. Everyone remember that Mia has a little brother? And the only thing we know of her backstory is that her and her little brother used to do music together.
I liked that episode.
Okay, you liked it because it wasn't Mia. It was all centered on fucking Antonio because Steven Skyler was hot off of Glee or hot going into Glee, and they were just like, oh, he's on a top-rated show. We have to have him sing right here. It's just like, no, it meant nothing.
Maybe that's her backstory. She was a singer that was on tour that had to go off tour because she got the call to become a ranger.
She does sing in that Tricks or Treat episode. What did they call it?
Mia and the Samurai Dance Machine.
Let's put that thing into quotation marks where it belongs.
And then that episode with the brother makes sense. It's like, oh, come on, you can come back on tour. We want Mia and the Samurai Dance Machine to have a reunion. It's like, no, I'm being a ranger right now. Leave me alone, little brother.
You're trying to give her so much.
It's easy because the show gave her so little, so I can easily make her a better character by not really thinking about it. We came up with all these things just talking about her character, and we're not paid to do it.
The one thing I put down for my positive potato was that she's the first Pink Ranger to get a battleizer.
In the cockpit.
It's still a battleizer.
Amber, what is your number 4 pick?
This might lead into something for you guys. I picked Emma.
Super Mega Mode!
Again, she's bland. That's also her thing. They literally just take Mia and just change her name. And instead of cooking, photography. My only positive potato is that she's probably a lesbian.
Oh, she's probably bi, I think.
Oh yeah, because she has a thing for Orion. Okay, so on to my number 3. My number 3 is 2017 movie Kim.
I'm sorry, is this some kind of joke? Like, I'm standing here with a wet wedgie, my socks are soaked, we're squishing around and we're talking to a wall.
We have talked in length about the story arc that they gave this 2017 movie Kimberly. A story arc where she loses all her friends and popularity after leaking her friends' nudes to the entire school, and somehow she's portrayed as the victim.
Yes, play the victim when you're actually the worst person on the fucking planet.
The fact that she even got the Pink Ranger armor to shine on her, period, is shocker. She feels no remorse for doing either.
It would have taken them rewriting one sentence, and then it would have been the tables have turned, and then I've been like, oh, absolutely, you should feel this way.
Have her nudes get leaked, and that's why she loses popularity. Easy!
Or don't. Like, let's not do that.
Like, if they needed to do that, like, why are you basing this character around her leaking nudes? She feels no remorse. She's more concerned with her getting caught than what the victim is feeling. And by the way, her friends are allowed to treat her that way because she did a horrible thing. She even gets the fucking scene in the climax where she's like,
That's what you get.
for what? For them treating you like shit for leaking her nudes?
I can admit her friend was stupid for sending them to her friends. Again, she sent them to you thinking that you weren't going to like leak them to everybody. That's how you know a lot of men worked on that movie.
Positive potato. I guess I liked her moments with Trini, especially the lesbianic donut ballet. I ship it.
And Naomi is adorable. I loved her in Lemonade Mouth. I stand a legend.
Love her in that. She was Miller in Aladdin. It just kills me because that movie had such a great cast. Did you guys know that I went to high school with the Blue Ranger, RJ Seiler?
Really?
Mm-hmm. We both went to Inglewood. He's, I think, 2-3 years younger than me, but we were roaming the same halls at the same time. Part of the Duval.
Austin, what is your number 3 choice?
My number 3 is Sarah Thompson from Ninja Steel. Sarah is easily my least favorite Ninja Steel Ranger. This bitch is so nasty, and she is always cheating for personal gain. She is so frustrating. I remember watching all of her Focus episodes when they were airing, and I just wanted to kill myself when they were over, because she is so terrible. She's so awful.
And she never fucking learns.
Never. And I'm like, every Focus episode of hers is like, oh, I'm gonna cheat for personal gain. Or like, oh, I'm gonna fail a test because I didn't study for it. No shit, queen, what?
I bought presents for everybody, not agreeing that, oh, hey, we're doing a gift exchange. Oh, I'm just going to buy them all presents and then expect presents back.
Yeah, did you do a Secret Santa, or did you expect everyone to buy you a present because you bought them? Like, that's not how it works.
Why the fuck were they exchanging presents at the school?
Because that's the only set they have, Austin.
No, it makes no sense.
They do everything at the school.
I could understand being in, like, the ninja room.
It's, like, in the middle of the school. How the fuck did they get there? Is Redbot just opening the door for him or something? Like, what the fuck?
Also, this bitch made a machine where you can turn anything into cookies, and she had the audacity to make broccoli cookies. Jail.
Apparently they make them taste super good, though.
No, there's nothing you can do to broccoli to make it taste good.
Broccoli is the one vegetable I'm like, you know what? No, actually, we cannot put that in a sweet treat.
Not to mention that Sarah was whitewashed as hell, and that's bullshit.
Christiane Lopez. She's named Sarah Thompson. They dye her hair blonde and give her a white-ass mom.
Remember Haley, though. Like, when we first saw her at Power Morphicon, she had natural hair, and then we kept come in here, oh, they've straightened it.
And then she was like in braids at PMC, and I was like, yes!
And I don't have a positive potato, because this bitch is disgusting.
I have a positive potato. My positive potato is that I didn't have to hear about it. I didn't watch that season, so I'm glad I missed it.
Good for you, because Ninja Steel is not it, sis. If you want to ever catch up, watch Beast Morphers. Skip Ninja Steel.
I will say, though, that Levi is the best part about the whole show.
Is that the cowboy?
Yes.
Ugh.
Okay, but he sings good, and I love him because he wears a really tight white t-shirt all the time.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, so Amber, what is your number 3 choice?
My number 3 is Vita. We talked about her. Like you talked about earlier, I didn't really care for her. Hating pink was her main personality trait, and she didn't, like, grow from that at all.
In the finale, she dyed her hair fully pink.
I like that they tried to do something different with her, like, try to make her kind of different than Hoka, but the problem is, like, you still have that footage to match. You know, we talked about how it was jarring. You've got Pink acting bubbly. She's literally a fairy. I'm sorry, Sprite. But Garuda is okay. All right, I see what you're doing there. It just sucks. And also, like, it's probably a little colored because I like Magirager so much. I think she's really cute. And I think had they'd actually throw in some character growth to everybody except for Nick, she'd have been a lot better. She's just kind of where she's at. Like, it's not like the strongest number 3 that I have. I was looking through a list and I was like, well, I like these ones just a little bit more.
Shelby, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Emma, because I don't know who the fuck she is, and I've watched both of those seasons. Like, she's the brunette one. She's the one that's like the pink pigeon thing. Like, she's nothing. She has a camera sometimes.
They give her traits, but they never do episodes about it.
At least with Mia, I can be like, okay, you know, Mia does all this stuff. Like, she has some semblance of, like, a little bit of a character. Emma's just like, Emma! And that's it. That's what you got. Cool. Maybe she had a thing with the Blue Ranger that I'm misconstruing or something. I don't remember. I remember Gia way more. Gia, my girl. Emma just wears pink. I'm still mad about how they handled both of those seasons. I'm still mad about Super Mega Force. That still pisses me off to this day. It pisses me off more now as a 28-year-old who's been out of the fandom for like 4 years than it did while I was on the grid originally. I'm more mad about it now.
At least when I became grid host, like, it was towards the tail end of Super Mega Force, so I really didn't have to review it that much, so I'm grateful for that.
But yeah, no, it was rough.
But I did have to review Legendary Battle, and have multiple times talked about it, so...
Every so often, it circles back, and we just get reminded of it, and then live through those.
We did a ranking for finales, and Ian Austin popped off again.
I'm glad I missed that one. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, phew.
But yeah, Emma, number 3, because she's just a non-existent character.
Like, they could have just had, like, a hat rack there, and it would have been exactly the same show.
At least I would have been as offended, because at least the hat rack would be a better Pink Time Force Ranger than Emma was.
How dare you stand where she stood?
Alrighty, on to number 2. My number 2 is Sarah Thompson. I really didn't have a problem with Sarah first. She was like a quirky, sporty girl who liked building gadgets, but I feel like the downward spiral began with Helping Hand towards the end of the first season, where Sarah's like, "Gah, Mom, stop being so supportive of me and helping me with Shan." I mean, she's a teenage girl, so it makes sense, but the fact that your mom is so accepting of your talents and stuff, you should be over the world about that shit. Come on now.
Engineering shit costs a lot of fucking money. Where's your job, Sarah?
It's a good thing your mom is in the same field, too, because there's no way you would have been able to buy all that stuff without your mom being like, okay, it's in my lab.
Also, like, when her and Zoe were, like, trying to get their parents to break up, I was like, how the fuck dare you both?
I also just hated that they paired their parents together anyway.
I think that's stupid, but what was wrong with that? They both like each other. You two are old enough to know better. Like, you two are damn near grown, and you're gonna get mad that your parents like each other and have similar interests and want to go on dates. It's not like you two knew each other before you became Power Rangers, so it's not like you got awkward childhood memories.
You're almost adults. It's not that bad.
I hate it when kids try to talk to their parents about good relationships.
What do you know?
The obnoxious traits continue in Season 2 in Need for Speed, where she uses a monster's weapon to cheat in a speed record, and then it climaxes in Prepare to Fail, where Sarah thinks she's so happy because she aced the first part of the test, because she studied. So she doesn't think she needs to study for the second half of the test, and what do you know? She fails, and she's like, how did this happen? Well, I don't know, maybe if you studied for the second half of the test, you'd be good, but you didn't, so that's why you failed.
It's like, no shit, Mary, you studied for the first one and you passed it.
Common sense!
Also, it's like, what are you failing? It's like, we've seen, like, into your class, you're doing, like, 5th grade in math.
Not even 5th grade math. Want to take away 2 ways?
Well, I was being generous, right?
So positive potatoes. I liked that they used the whole cloning device episode as a way to introduce that clone star they have in footage, because in the Ninja it was like a Hurricane star, so I guess they couldn't do that, so they found a way to use the clone star without using the star itself, so I guess that's something.
That was a stretch, Mom.
Alright, Austin, what is your number 2 choice?
My number 2 is Emma from Megaforce. So I wrote something and I'm gonna quote it directly. Quote, "Not only is this denim-wearing bitch the most generic and bland Pink Ranger ever, but she sucked up every focus from the others." End quote.
Tell us how you really
Denim-wearing
feel.
bitch. I was really proud of that. She has no actual personality traits or development because she was whatever the writers needed her to be for that episode. I'm bored. And like we pretty much said everything else about her, so I'll give my positive potato. My positive potato is United We Stand. I really love that episode, and that's the Emma Gia lesbian girl fight episode.
Amber, what is your number 2 choice?
Movie Kimberly. We already talked about it. Playing the fucking victim when you fucking leak your friend's nudes. Like, I'm still salty about it, and it has been like 4 years. I want to like her so much. I yield my time.
So Shelby, what is your number 2 choice?
My number 2 worst is the original Kim.
Morphin time.
Because being the first does not mean that you are the best. I am sorry. You all know me for years. I am so sick of just people just slurping down MMPR's dick. And she honestly is not that special. We've had so many more amazing Pink Rangers that why does Kim get to be the top of every list? She doesn't.
She's not even on either of our lists.
Not this list. We're cultured. I'm talking like generic list. I'm talking Watch Mojo and all that shit. Here's this girl who is damsel in distress. Always has an issue. Listen, I know there was a thing in the 90s. I get it. It does not age well. And let's add on the little sprinkling of dating Tommy Oliver. Ew.
I will give her such props for fucking dumping him in a Dear John letter, though.
That's gonna be my positive potato for her, on top of like being the role model for young girls to still be able to kick ass. I had my Kimberly Halloween costume for like 6 years.
I love that she was a role model, and I love that she did dump Tommy. I just feel bad that Kat decided she needed to pick up the slack.
I like Comic Kim better. She has better taste in men, aka Matt. Alrighty, so before we choose our number 1 worst Pink Rangers, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Alright, so I have one, and it's a little funny. I chose A-Squad Pink. She's barely a character. So, like most of A-Squad besides Charlie, Pink is kind of just a generic character. I think she just has like one line, and it's Morph, and I think it's ADR.
You're second best.
It's like boring, whatever. Especially when we had Psycho Pink. I was like, I'm fucking bored.
Yeah, how dare you stand where she stood? Austin, you got any honorable mentions?
For my honorable mentions, I put Sid and Rose. Just because, like, I don't hate them. I like Sid, and I think Rose is the best part of Overdrive, like we talked about, but they're just kind of there.
Alright, Amber, do you have any honorable mentions?
A-Squad. I wanted to put Sid too, because it was just like, she's kind of middle ground. Like, she's not my least favorites, but because there's also only so many, it's like, well, at a certain point, you're either just kind of there because I like other people way more, or I hate other people way more than that too.
Shelby, what are your honorable mentions?
So I have 2, and they're also really funny, so I apologize. I just had to throw them on there because they stuck out to me so much. The first one has to be when Mara is hallucinating in Ninja Storm, and she's the Pink Ranger. I was like, oh my god, I have to throw her in there. Just digitally recolored costume was just phenomenal. My second goes back to like a really weird, it's still official, the parody web series, Kim Purley, Mighty Morphin Meower Rangers.
They just re-uploaded those.
We're going to be kind of spicy. I could say that I didn't really care for a certain RPG ranger.
Oh, Hyperforce Pink.
I think Megan is very nice, but also she's like, my whole personality is, I like burritos. She's like the Zooey Deschanel of Pink Rangers.
She just needs a ukulele. I didn't even think of putting Hyperforce on the list.
That tells you how far out of mind she is to Ray, because didn't even come to Ray. And Ray remembered everything.
I'll remember to put Hyperforce in the running for the next color ranger lists.
Ray is a Power Ranger elephant. He never forgets, except for Jay Farrell.
So my number 1 is Emma Goodall, the Pink Megaforce Ranger and Super Megaforce Ranger. Okay, so both Emma and Megaforce in general suffer from being bland and having no substance, but I think I'll go into greater detail. So Emma is given 3 character traits at the beginning of the series. She's into BMX, she likes to take pictures, and she likes nature, which none of these are any of traits for Emma they use in a focus episode, except maybe United We Stand station where she takes a picture, but that has nothing to do with the episode. Instead, we get episodes where Emma can suddenly sing, and Emma befriends the evil robot, and Emma wants to fight a monster using cosplay, and Emma's missing a fight to bake a pie or fly a kite. It's nonsense, and I like nonsense, but this is like nonsense. Like, what the fuck is this?
It's nonsense.
You know what I just thought of? Because I've been watching the Mary Poppins movies, like, let's go fly a kite. That's her when everyone else is fighting. She just wants to fly the kite.
Yeah, she just wants to vibe and fly a kite. The writers honestly made the Ranger whatever the character they wanted to, like every Ranger in the season. None of them have character arcs except Troy wanting to find Robo Knight and Megaforce, and even that's forgotten. And the dreams, too. I mean, we can go on about this forever, but, oh god, yeah. Emma's number one. Positive Potato, Emma and Gia had some good shipping moments.
Positive Potato, lesbians, that's it.
Austin, what's your number one?
My number one is Kimberly from the 2017 movie. This motorcycle bitch leaked her friend's nudes to the entire school, punched out some guy's tooth, they put it back, and then she played the victim the entire movie. And then the whole that's what you get thing. I'm just like, they cut your toxic ass out of their friend group and oh, that's what you get? Like a damaged car? What? You're terrible. You're garbage.
You're a grade A ass wicked bitch.
It's one thing to have this Ranger character leak her friend's nudes, and that's a writing choice. She could have like redeemed herself or made up for it somehow or done something to like, you know, kind of earn their forgiveness. It's another thing to have her play the victim and then also put her in that light and like it's filmed and written in a way to where Kim is the victim, not the actual victims.
It would have been so easy for them to change that dialogue.
The other layer of that is like, what kind of message is this sending to kids, the franchise's target audience? Even if this movie is PG-13, everyone takes their kids to superhero movies. What kind of message is that sending to the children?
If the climax was her coming to a realization she fucked up, it would be different, but it's not. She has no conclusion to that story except that's what you get.
She knows she fucked up. She talks about how she fucked up, but she doesn't acknowledge like, oh yeah, I should do something to make this better or to try and fix it. No, she just was like, I fucked up. You guys suck.
She acknowledged she fucked up because she got in trouble for it. She didn't acknowledge she fucked up because she hurt her friend's feelings.
Who wrote this movie?
John Gattens.
Miss John? Miss Mary? What is this? What is this,
like,
mama?
I'm gonna go put a flaming bag of dog shit on your door.
This is not it.
And I'm like, I fucking saw this movie in a theater 4 fucking times and I'm still pissed off.
I like this movie. Kim is the weakest link of the movie. Like, you couldn't give her anything else to do or give her another backstory. It's like, oh, let's have her leak her friend's nudes? What? The other layer to this is like, okay, she punched out that guy's tooth. Was that like her ex-boyfriend who like slept with her friend and then like as revenge she like leaked her nudes? Is that what this is? Was this actually revenge porn? Because that's another not okay.
I guess it doesn't matter because like the original cut for the movie had her pretty much fucking Jason, but they took that out of the movie.
I can understand her getting some kind of revenge, like if her friend had cheated on her boyfriend. I wouldn't say leaking nudes or anything, but like some other type of revenge, maybe like spreading some rumors or like other kind of dirt, let some shit out. That would be a little bit different, but the nudes are kind of, that was too far.
She still has that picture on her phone because she shows it to Jason later in that scene where they cut the kiss. She has the picture saved on her phone still. What is wrong with you, girl? I don't have a positive potato. Fuck this bitch. She is pure evil.
All right, Amber, who's your number one choice for Pink Ranger? Worst.
Sarah. I fucking hate Sarah. We know. Her and movie Kimberly are about the same because it's just like fucking bullshit and you don't learn lessons. It's like the antithesis of the whole fucking franchise. How? You fucked it up in the movies and you fucked it up in the show. I just hate that. Like you showing kids that it's okay to cheat and then you don't learn from it. You don't get in trouble for it. You don't show her getting a 0 for cheating on a test or anything like that, getting any awards stripped away because Victor did. It fucking happened to Victor and it's bullshit that Victor had this kind of comeuppance, but you can do the same thing and it's fine. You're a ranger. It's okay.
You're a ranger, so it doesn't matter if you cheat.
I hate it so much. If I could, those two would be my entire list because everybody else is that much least offensive compared to those two to me.
So it's a James Navarro situation?
I would almost say I hate those two more than James Navarro, especially movie Kim. But Sarah, she didn't leak her friend's news. I just fucking hate her. I wanted to like her. I did. I absolutely wanted to like her because I thought Christiani was adorable.
I still like the cast.
I think they're very adorable, very nice kids, but they got bullshit to work with.
So Shelby, let's finish it off with you. What is your number one worst Pink Ranger?
Who could I rank worse than Kim 2.0? Kat. So we have this girl start off, immediate damsel in distress, hypnotized by Rita. Honey, we've been there. We've done, I'm sorry, who did this for Tommy? Okay, so we're just doing this again, but with a girl. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's pop off on that. So she was literally Kim 2.0. We talked earlier about how she was going to do like the swimming in the diving. But oh no, it's suddenly changed into the dancing because it's so close to Kim doing gymnastics. Oh, who does she start dating? Tommy, just like Kim did. She's just blonde Kim. But she committed a worse crime than Kim could ever have done. She marries and she procreates with Tommy. And who's my number one worst ranger? Tommy. So who am I gonna put as my number one worst Pink Ranger? It's gonna be Kat. I don't care if she's served on 3 teams. I don't care if she's been redeemed and done all this cool shit. I don't give a fuck. She made a baby with Tommy. She continued the Oliver bloodline, and that's just irredeemable for me. I cannot. I could have forgiven the Mary Sue bullshit, Kim with the blonde wig on bullshit, if she didn't canonically get with Tommy. That just ruins it all for me. I don't even have a positive potato because that just pisses me off so much. The negative potato is too large. It's the world's largest negative potato.
So that is the end of our Pink Ranger ranking episode. So what did you think of our rankings? Did our top 5 best and worst Pink Rangers match yours? Tweet us at the Grit BR to tell us your best and worst Pink Rangers. We'll see you next week for a brand new episode of The Grid. But until then, everybody say bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
This has been a Morphin Legacy production, bitches.